My name is Xiao Ying, and I'm just an ordinary person. I just resigned from my previous company last month. However, my best friend, Li Ruyan, is an absolute child of destiny. Ruyan and I are childhood friends. Since graduating college, I've been living with her. She has always been incredibly lucky since we were young. She buys a drink and wins one more bottle. She eats hot pot and draws a 50% off coupon. So, when my best friend came home with 500 packs of instant noodles, I sharply sensed that something was wrong. As soon as I opened the door, I saw her dragging a trolley back. After we unboxed them, we found there were many different flavors. While studying the noodle flavors, I didn't forget the main issue. So I asked, Rian, besides these instant noodles, did you win anything else recently? Does an on-site security door and window installation coupon for 37,000 off a 50,000 purchase count? The TV in the living room was playing a drama replay from PM, followed perfectly by the weather forecast. The TV anchor said in a professional tone that all regions would face heavy rainfall in the coming week. Please stock up on essential supplies. A massive amount of instant food, security doors and windows, continuous heavy rainfall. The two of us looked at the TV, then looked at the instant noodles spread across the floor, exchanging glances. We were thinking the exact same thing. Now it was a matter of better safe than sorry. My best friend said, I'll call my boss to ask for a leave of absence. My heart felt warm, but immediately after, the anxiety of reality surged up. I just quit my job last month. My savings are limited. Although she has good luck, suddenly preparing for this unverified natural disaster would put a lot of financial pressure on us. Ruyan understood what I meant. She looked up and asked, by the way, Xiao Ying, how did the job interview go yesterday? I sighed and said, sigh. I just received the interview passing notification today. We agreed that I would start on Monday. But now we're suddenly facing a rainstorm doomsday. I have no mood to go to work anymore. That's such a pity. This job is really nice, with paid leave. And it's close to home. I was going to ask you to recommend a job for me once you settled in. I said in surprise, exactly. I blame this doomsday for messing up all my plans. But isn't your current job pretty good? Why do you want to switch? I've been worrying about the long commute recently. I can never get enough sleep. Teach me how you found this job of yours. I accidentally saw it while scrolling on my phone. I gave it a try and didn't expect it to be so useful. For job hunting, 58 Tunking is still the best. It's worry-free and efficient, with direct hiring from big companies. It's legitimate, guaranteed, with massive job choices. Is it really that convenient? Yeah, you can even have online interviews. The efficiency is super high, companies feedback quickly, and onboarding is fast. I highly recommend 58 Tunking. Then I'll feel relieved when the time comes. But for now, keeping this a secret is crucial. The weather forecast said it starts raining next Monday. But the place we currently live in is on the second floor. Let's go to my house. My family lives on the 31st floor. We discussed it and decided to drive back to her house. But before that, we decided to go buy some supplies first. So we got into the luxury car that my best friend had won at her company's annual meeting and headed straight to the supermarket in a large mall. With one shopping cart each, we split up. I was in charge of the produce section, and she handled the grains. I went to the vegetable section and bought pumpkins, winter melons, zucchinis, potatoes, sweet potatoes, purple yams, carrots, and white radishes, onions, and the essential scallions, ginger, and garlic. My best friend got 5 bags of flour, 5 bags of rice, and 10 bundles of dried noodles from the grain section. Millet, oats, buckwheat, and black rice. We took different amounts according to our preferences. Finally, we met at the meat section and bought pork belly, tenderloin, ribs, steaks, beef shank, and lamb chops. Ruyan's car was almost full. Since it was night, there weren't many people in the mall. We made 3 consecutive trips for groceries. Every time, our shopping carts were packed to the brim. The auntie at the checkout counter looked up and saw it was us again, thinking she was stuck in a time loop. She was extremely curious. Can you guys eat that much stuff? We run an after-school care center, so we use a lot of food. The checkout auntie had an expression of hesitating to speak. She was afraid of being nosy but wanted to advise us young people on how to manage finances. I know you young people nowadays don't like being nagged at. But let auntie just say one thing. Since you need such a large volume, buying at supermarket prices isn't cost-effective, the auntie was indeed well-intentioned. But I couldn't tell her the truth, or we'd be treated like lunatics. I could only keep making up lies. I continued the story. We do have dedicated purchasing channels. Unfortunately, the guy who helps us with transport got a fever and took a leave, but tomorrow is the weekend, and many parents are busy. They don't feel safe leaving their kids alone at home, so they send them to us. Not only can we supervise them to eat well and not sneak snacks, but the teachers we hired can also help tutor their homework. Auntie, you have no idea. The academic pressure these days is unbelievable. We can't even solve some of the primary school questions. Parents who can't tutor their kids also like to send them over on the weekends for an afternoon of homework. Well, your after-school center sounds pretty good. You girls are really capable. The auntie kindly advised us, but I couldn't tell her the truth. After all, we ourselves weren't entirely sure if this elusive natural disaster was real. I could only subtly remind the auntie a bit. The weather is changing and getting cold. Besides our delivery guy, many kids have caught a cold and fever. Auntie, you should take care of your health too. After buying groceries, we still need to go back and buy medicine. It's always a good idea to keep extra medicine at home. You can never be too safe, right? That makes sense. I'll buy some fever and cold medicine to keep at home after work. Well, we'll get going now. Just at the moment we were leaving, the auntie pulled us back. She told us that since we spent a high amount, we could participate in a supermarket lucky draw. Ruyan's luck remained unparalleled. She won a box of sanitary pads, 3 large bags of toilet paper, and 5 packs of tissue paper. We originally planned to buy these daily necessities when we got back to the county. I didn't expect God to just gift them to her. After loading everything into the car, we drove back to Ruyan's house. Along the way, we racked our brains. And based on the hoarding survival novels we had read, we made a shopping list. At M, we successfully arrived downstairs at Ruyan's building. Her family had only moved here a year and a half ago. The building was very new. It looked like it could hold up against a natural disaster for a few weeks. Ruyan's family lives on the 31st floor, and there is an external elevator, which made it convenient for us to move things up. We started by moving the instant noodles. We moved supplies trip after trip. Finally, we finished moving everything, even though we tried our best to keep quiet. We still woke up her parents. Her uncle and aunt initially thought a thief had broken in and were nervously eavesdropping behind their bedroom door. Fortunately, they recognized Ruyan's voice, felt relieved, and came out to greet us. Ruyan told her parents exactly about our speculations. Uncle and aunt clearly didn't believe in any natural disaster, but they loved their daughter. She said a bunch of things, but all they heard was, I took a week of public leave and brought Zhao Ying home to stay. Hearing that their daughter could stay home with them for the next week or even longer, they were overjoyed and helped us move our luggage into Ruyan's room. Once everything was put into Ruyan's room, we were completely exhausted and fell asleep the moment we hit the bed. We slept all the way until M the next day, waking up to the sound of construction. The night before, Ruyan had already ordered security doors and windows online and scheduled an installation time. The noise disturbed the neighbors, who came over to ask what was going on. Auntie smiled and told the neighbors the excuse we had prepared yesterday. The pressure in the capital is too high. Our silly Ruyan was laid off by her company a month ago and didn't dare tell us. If her dad hadn't been so attentive, we wouldn't have even known. We called her yesterday. She let it slip and finally told us the truth. Auntie purposely raised her voice, trying to let more people hear. This silly child always reports the good news but hides the bad. We only found out yesterday. Turns out she suffered so much in her previous company. And during this period of job hunting, she hit walls everywhere. Our hearts ached so much hearing it, so we asked her to come home for now. But what does that have to do with the renovation? She has loved kittens since she was a kid, so her dad and I plan to keep a few at home to help her cheer up. We asked around and found out that to keep cats nowadays, you need to seal the windows. We live on the 31st floor. If a cat falls down from here, even 9 lives wouldn't be enough to survive. That's why we hired contractors to install new security doors and windows. The others lost interest after hearing this and walked away muttering, after lunch. We continued following our shopping list, buying everything we needed. Running around busily, by Sunday evening, we had finally purchased everything on our list. We successfully transported it all home without bumping into anyone on the way. Ruyan's dad cooked a large table of food to celebrate our holiday at home. Uncle and aunt treated me so genuinely, just like I was their second daughter. This was the long-lost warmth I finally felt. After getting away from a family that favored boys over girls, after dinner, Ru Yan and I went to the balcony. Looking up at the sky, the stars were shining brightly. There was no hint at all that a heavy rainstorm was coming tomorrow, but thankfully we had already stocked up on supplies. Everything was ready. All we were waiting for was the doomsday. Then, we locked the doors and windows and went to sleep. On Monday morning, I woke up, walked to the window, and saw that it had started raining. However, the rain wasn't that heavy at first. People in the city went to work or school as usual. At PM, the rain suddenly intensified, and the water in the underground garage began to rise. First-floor residents also began experiencing water seepage. Curses and complaints could occasionally be heard from downstairs. Ru Yan and I constantly monitored the latest notices released by the provincial official account. Due to rising water levels, the subway lines were suspended. Many people were trapped inside, and rescue operations were underway. In the videos, the accumulated water on the roads had spilled over the curbs, forming a small river. Schools issued emergency suspension notices, asking parents to pick up their children immediately. Many workplaces also let their employees off early. By PM, the stagnant water on the streets had risen to pedestrians' waists. Some small vehicles completely stalled out on the roads. Large vehicles could only move slowly, and buses halted operations completely. At this critical moment, traffic police, firefighters, and other professionals were all dispatched. Medical staff followed behind carrying stretchers to help out. Some stood in the middle of the road to maintain order, while others waded through the crowd searching for the injured who needed help. That evening, we sat together having hot pot. The broth boiled, and the aroma filled the air, but we suddenly lost our appetites. The TV was still broadcasting the news. The reporter was completely soaked, her hair blowing wildly in the strong wind. She was reporting on the tragedy brought by this natural disaster. "Stop watching, let's eat," Andy said, so we managed to calm down and finished our dinner. That night, my best friend and I both suffered from insomnia. The disaster arrived so fiercely and rapidly. Even though we had prepared and hoarded everything we could think of, we still couldn't be sure if it was enough or if this house could keep us safe. The next day, the water level was still rising. It was raining in all the surrounding provinces, and the water couldn't drain out at all. We heard that several villages had already flooded, causing numerous injuries and a few deaths. Ru Yan and I slept terribly last night, yawning as we got up. We noticed that Uncle and Aunt hadn't slept well either. This couldn't go on. The rain was still pouring, and the disaster had not ceased. We had no absolute safety guarantees. At the very least, we had to maintain a good mental state to face any upcoming risks. We had to pull ourselves together. So we tried every way to cook something delicious. After the meal, the four of us squeezed into the living room, playing cards while eating dried mangoes. Although while playing cards, we still subconsciously glanced out the window in worry, at least our spirits were lifted. At p.m., the rain intensified once again. Gale force winds carrying the storm seemed to tear a hole in the sky. The muddy waves churned with debris. The transportation on the roads had turned into boats, fishing boats, speedboats, hovercrafts. Even the yellow duck pedal boats from tourist spots. There were also some large wooden planks. Fleeing people lay on top of them, clinging desperately to the edges. The cries of children pierced through the mist, fragmented and desperate. Mixed in were the suppressed and breaking sobs of adults. Every sound reflected the insignificance and sorrow of human life. In the face of natural disasters, the power went out. Actually, there had been 3 intermittent blackouts yesterday, but the power was successfully restored each time. This time, repairs were impossible. The entire city plunged into darkness and panic. The home generator finally came in handy. The first priority was to ensure power to the freezer, so the frozen food wouldn't spoil and rot. We closed all the curtains and lit candles. Faint lights gradually appeared from other apartments, but no one dared to make it too bright. Before the natural gas was cut off, Uncle cooked dinner by candlelight, 3 dishes and a soup. He even added a small piece of steak for each of us, saying a candlelit dinner requires steak. Just after dinner, as we continued playing cards, we heard people shouting outside that the gas was gone. It seemed that for safety reasons, the gas company actively shut off the natural gas supply to prevent leaks that could cause explosions or poisoning. We had portable butane stoves, so we didn't have to worry about this. This way, we wouldn't focus on the shouting and crying outside, which made us feel a bit better. We slept better tonight than yesterday. Had we already started getting used to the sorrow? Was this a good thing? On the 3rd day, the rain got even heavier. At the same time, someone started knocking on our door. It was a burly, middle-aged man. He was wailing, playing the victim. My family is about to starve to death. Have mercy and give us some hot food. There was no way we were opening the door. We all knew that if we opened it once, we could never close it again. At first, we rejected him relatively politely. Then the man started smashing our door, yelling at the top of his lungs that we were hoarding food, that we were heartless and had no sense of neighborly love. Probably because our security door was too new and thick. His hands started hurting from the knocking. Through the peephole, we saw him move to other apartments. Soon, we heard him trading curses with others. A while later, his wife came out holding their young grandson and joined him. They changed their strategy now. The wife and grandson were crying instead. When they knocked on the 5th door, it opened. Ru Yan murmured, "Oh no, that girl living alone across the hall must have gone soft," and sure enough, A moment later, we heard the girl start to cry. The man forced his way in and took all her food, drinks, and supplies. After the man left, we confirmed through the peephole that only the girl was left. And the hallway was temporarily empty. We unlocked our security door, ran over, and brought the girl to our place. My name is Xiao Wei. Thank you all. I never thought my bleeding heart would bring this upon myself. Don't say that. It's only right for neighbors to help each other. We have some supplies prepared. Don't worry for now. Xiao Wei looked at the neatly stacked supplies in our kitchen and the reinforced security windows on the balcony. Her eyes filled with disbelief and the relief of surviving a disaster. She realized that we were probably one of the few families in this building who were actually prepared. Xiao Wei's arrival increased our supply consumption, but it also brought us new strength. The chaos downstairs lasted for a while, but as the floodwaters continued to rise, the entire building gradually sank into a dead, silent despair. Days went by, one after another. Every morning we woke up hoping the disaster would stop. Two months later, the rain finally stopped. Basic municipal power supply was restored in local areas. After the city's reconstruction was complete, we accompanied Xiao Wei to the police station. After Xiao Wei reported what happened to her, the police immediately dispatched and arrested the culprits and taught them a harsh lesson. I also went to the company where I previously passed the interview to start my job. Meanwhile, Ruyan, with her constant good luck, bought a lottery ticket and won first prize. I held my employee badge and smiled. It seems there are many types of good luck. Ruyan's heaven-sent windfalls are enviable. But every step I earn with my own hands is equally worthy of joy.